Good morning, Year 4, and welcome back to Monday's English lesson, where this week we're going to continue our book study of The Horned Helmet. Let's just do a little recap as to where we got to at the end of last week. I've popped these images on here as a quick reminder for you. So we know that Bjorn, our main character, was able to escape the clutches of the mean Glam right at the very last moment, and he was saved almost by somebody that he described as being the biggest man that he'd ever seen, going by the name of Starcad. And you'll remember right at the end of last week that Bjorn joined Reindeer, the longboat. We can see an image of what it might have looked like here. And he jumped aboard the Reindeer and set sail with the new Viking crew. So now he's not all alone anymore. He's got people to be with. On Friday, you wrote your diary accounts where we could start thinking about Bjorn's feelings and exactly his experiences that he might be having while he's on board the ship. And you'll remember towards the end of the chapter where Bjorn, it started to get a little bit more exciting for Bjorn because he sang his Snore Pig song. He made everybody on the boat laugh, and now he feels like he belongs that little bit more. You'll also remember right towards the end of the chapter how Bjorn had learnt that if they didn't find land soon, then the ship might sink, and they knew that that they needed to be able to caulk the boat with tar to protect it, to stop them from sinking. Okay, and luckily, right at the end of the chapter, we found that they're on their way. They can see land, and they are on their way to Scotland. Okay, so what do we think the Vikings are planning to do when they arrive in Scotland, and why might they do it? Yeah, you'll remember that Starcad and Gork had talked about the idea of being able to raid the village in Scotland, and they wanted to be able to take what they thought was rightfully theirs. You'll also remember them talking about there not being any threat because the herring were in. So we know that all the men of the village are going to be out fishing, and that means that the Vikings can sneak in, take what they believe is theirs, their treasures that they think is theirs, and steal it, and then go back on the ship without being seen. Okay, so we're going to continue to think about the next part of the story now, and today Miss Eddleston is going to read you chapter 5, which is called Berserk. Okay, and we're going to find out exactly what that word means, a berserk, from the chapter. And well, you'll notice from when you listen to Miss Eddleston reading that a berserk is a character in this story. Okay, somebody that we already know. Okay, so what I want you to do while you're listening to the beginning of chapter 5, we're just going to listen to part 1 to start with today. What I want you to do is just jot down anything that you hear about a berserk. Okay, maybe what one is, maybe what they're like, what clues we can get from the chapter. Okay, so pause this video here, head on over to YouTube, or click the link in the Google Drive that will take you to chapter 5 part 1. Pause now. Okay, welcome back. So we know that Starcad is the berserk. Okay, and this lesson we're going to find out a little bit more about exactly what that word means, berserk. We know that it sounds quite similar to the word berserk that you might have heard of before, and that's exactly where that word comes from. The word berserk means somebody goes crazy and loses control, and you can tell from the beginning of that chapter that that's exactly what Starcad can happen to Starcad without him even meaning to. Okay, so you can see here that I've said that the direct translation of the word berserk is a Viking warrior who fights without his armour. So somebody who is considered strong enough and mighty enough to be able to fight and survive, so therefore doesn't need any armour. We read about in the chapter exactly what happens to Starcad and how he goes into kind of a bit like a trance where he can't listen to anybody, nobody can get through to him, and he goes into like a mode where he seems to be uncontrollable. Okay, so today we're going to be exploring one question, and we're going to be thinking about a berserk. Do we think that they should be respected, or do we think that they should be feared? Okay. We're going to do a little bit more research to find out exactly what we think about that question. Now, it's important to note that there's no correct answer to that question. Today is all going to be about your opinion, okay? And you're going to be thinking about your side of the argument. You'll remember a couple of weeks ago, we wrote our own balanced arguments where we were considering whether King Alfred should be considered great or lucky. Today, this is going to be something very similar, but rather than writing a balanced argument where you think about both sides of the argument, you're going to be thinking about just one side of the argument, okay? And you're going to be thinking about, do I think that Starkad as a Berserk should be respected, or do I think that he should actually be feared? Okay? We're going to think about the evidence to back up your opinion and your thoughts today. So I've got some information for you here. And each of these bullet points gives you just that little bit more information of exactly what we need to know about what a Berserk is like. Okay, so it can give us a little bit more information about Starkad as well. So what I want you to do is have a read through these bullet points. You'll find this sheet on the Google Drive in Monday's folder. I want you to have a read through each of these bullet points, and I want you to decide, in your opinion, do you think this piece of information means that somebody should be fearful, should be worried about a Berserk, or should be respected by them? Okay. Once you've made your decision, I want you to just pop down a code next to what you think. So let's have a look at doing this first one together. So I can see Berserks enjoy fighting and heavy combat. Okay, so if they enjoy fighting and they enjoy quite a serious battle, for me, that would be somebody that I'm fearful of. Okay, I'd worry about that, and I wouldn't want to be near them in case I got hurt. So for me, I'm going to put an F next to that, okay, because that's something that I might be a bit worried about. Okay, I might fear that fact. Okay, you might think something different. That doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you've got a difference of opinion, and that's absolutely fine. So I want you to read through the remainder of those bullet points, and I want you just to pop an F for feared or an R for respected next to each of those, and come back to me when you've done. Pause now. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully you've had a really good think about that and you've started to really explore the idea of what your opinion might be, okay? And hopefully now you've got a bit of a kind of heavier side. So you might have more F's for feared, or you might have more R's for respected, okay? And that's absolutely fine. And hopefully you can begin to start answering that question about whether you think a Berserk should be feared or whether they should be respected, okay? And these points will help you to do that. So that's the question that you are going to be writing today. Okay, you're going to write your side, your point of view, and your side to the argument. Now, as always, I've done you an example, so you can use my example to help you. But bear in mind, your opinion might be different to mine, and that's okay. Okay, you can use your own opinion, but this is just a structure to be able to help you. So I've started off with my title today to show which question I'm asking, and you can see that I've got my question mark here, in order to show that it's a question that I've included. So that piece of punctuation is going to be really important. So should Berserk warriors be respected or feared? I strongly believe that a Berserk should be respected due to the fact that they have not asked for this curse. Now I got that piece of information. If I go back a page, I got that piece of information from here. Okay, so I know that they don't ask for it. Okay. Many people would feel that they should be feared. However, as we know that they go into battle without their armour, I believe this is extremely heroic and definitely deserves respect. So in this sentence, I've talked about what other people might think. Many people would feel that they should be feared, but because that's the opposite to what I think, because in my first sentence I've identified that they should be respected, I've used an opposing conjunction here, my however, to show that I think the opposite point of view. Okay, so many people would feel that they should be feared, however, I think something different. So I think that they should be respected because they go into battle without their armour. I've then used another type of conjunction here. I've used the word furthermore because that adds additional information. Okay, so I've then said, furthermore, a berserk can perform with superhuman strength. Therefore, it is clear that they should be respected. So I've added another point that backs up the first thing that I said, the idea of them being respected. Okay. Furthermore, a berserk can perform with superhuman strength. And again, I got that idea from the sheet on the page before. Okay, so you can use that to help you. And I've explained it by referring back to the first point that I made. To conclude, so that means to bring all of my ideas together, to conclude, I feel that if you show a berserk great respect, you will remain safe. So you'll notice every single sentence that I've written today is all about my point of view, the idea that they should be respected. I haven't gone into any detail about that other people might think that they are feared, okay? Because this is just my opinion and I'm just going to be showing one side of that argument. And that's exactly what I want you to do today. I want you to use the bullet pointed sheets that you've just put F or R next to come up with your opinion as to whether you think that a berserk should be respected or feared. And then I want you to write a short paragraph about the same sort of length as mine to be able to explain that question. Okay, make sure that you are sticking to just one viewpoint and make sure you're using those conjunctions that we've talked about to be able to link your ideas. There are the conjunction and adverbial worksheet that you used a couple of weeks ago when we did our King Alfred arguments, that's also in the Google Drive, that are there to help you. Okay, so you can choose your conjunctions and your adverbials to be able to help you. Okay, once you've written your paragraph, I then want you to assess your own writing, a bit like we do in the classroom where we would mark our own writing. Okay, and to do that you're going to need this success criteria checklist. So that's also in the Google Drive, you'll find that there as well. And I want you to read through your writing to be able to see if you've got all of those features in the success criteria. So it'll be really helpful to have this success criteria out while you're writing to make sure that you can be successful. So let's go through mine together and let's see, have I got all of the success criteria? Have I done a successful piece of writing? So have I shared my viewpoint? I strongly believe that a berserk should be respected. There's my viewpoint. So yes, I have. I can tick to say that I've done it. If I've done it more than once, okay, if I've gone back to that same viewpoint a little bit later on, I might give it another tick as well when I come back to that. Have I kept the viewpoint the same throughout? So let's keep reading and see, have I changed my opinion throughout or have I kept it the same? They should be respected due to the fact that they've not asked for this curse. Many people would feel that they would be feared. That's changing the viewpoint. However, as we know that they go into battle without their armour, I believe this is extremely heroic and definitely deserves respect. So that's still keeping to the same viewpoint as what I said earlier. So yes, I have been successful there. Have I backed up my reasons with examples? Well, I've used the example that they've not asked for this curse. So that's an example there. I've also used the fact that they go into battle without armour. So that's another example. So I can do 2 ticks in here to show that yes, I've backed that up. I've also said that they perform with superhuman strength. And again, I got that information from that bullet pointed sheet. So I can see yes, I've been successful there. I can also see as I go further down, I've talked more about that one viewpoint. So I've definitely shared my viewpoint more than once as well. Okay, and then finally, I've used the to conclude to finish off my paragraph. So I need to be looking at my sentence starters as my final piece of success here. So I've started with I. The next sentence started with many people. That's a different way to start rather than I. My next sentence, furthermore, a different type of conjunction. And then finally, a to conclude. So I would say, yeah, I think I have used a variety of sentence openers. So I'm happy. I'm happy that I've produced a successful piece of writing. Okay. So I want you to use that question as your title. Use your sheet that you've already created to decide whether you think they are respected or feared. And I also want you to use this success criteria grid to help you to write a successful paragraph to answer that question. When you're done, I want you to come back to me because we've got a final question to explore for today's lesson. Okay, so pause now, have fun with your writing. Welcome back. How did you get on? I wonder how many of you think that berserk should be respected against how many of you think that they should be feared. I wonder how many of you have got differences of opinion. It'll be interesting to read. So do make sure you send them to me so that I can have a read as well and see your differences of opinion. So to finish off today's lesson then, I want us to think about this final question. So we've got the idea of Bjorn on this longship with Starcad, and we know that Starcad is at risk of turning into berserk mode in no warning at all. So potentially Bjorn could be in danger being on this longship. Okay. So I want you to think about, should Bjorn respect Starcad and hope to be just like him? Should he use him as a role model and perhaps copy his behaviour? Or should he be worried about him and try and keep a safe distance like Gork advised him? Okay. I don't want you to write anything down for this question. I just want you to have a think about it. What's your opinion? Okay. We're going to finish off there then today, guys. Have fun, and I will see you for tomorrow's lesson. Bye bye.